Say hi to everybody. You getting ready for your video later this month? Or later, I don't know when that video is. You getting ready for your video later on? You're going to host your own video. Have you been practicing? Yeah? That's good. That's good. Do you like Meow Ranger so far? Yeah? I can understand that. Okay, let's go. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and by now, you heroes know that it's time for a quick costume change. Super Mega Mode. Ha!
Super Mega Force.
There we go. We have reached the end of the month of colors, with summer and the topics waiting in the wings. But those topics have to wait for us to get done with one more color first, and let me tell you right now, they are green with envy. I explained this a bit in my last video, but oftentimes people will make top 10 videos with green and black rangers lumping them together. With only a few exceptions, teams will usually have a green ranger or a black ranger and not both. They often serve similar roles, so people just lump them together to give enough for a good, solid, deep top 10 list. However, I didn't want any of these videos to be dual color. I wanted them all to be color specific. And when I checked the roster, there were just enough green rangers to give them their own video. So let's go ahead and wrap up this month of colors before all these top 10 lists leave me feeling a little green around the gills. Number 10, Joel, Lightspeed Rescue. A downside to top 10 lists where I just barely have enough candidates to put the list together is that it's kind of hard to scrape up a lot of good things to say about those at the bottom of the list. Joel had a nice arc, starting out very cocky and sure of himself, but over time becoming more team-focused and doing what had to be done. He had a season-long crush on Miss Fairweather, which in a rarity for Power Rangers actually got resolved with the two of them getting married between then and the team up the next season. Overall, though, I just don't really have a lot to say about him. Number 9, Damon, Lost Galaxy. 10A and 10B. I gave Damon the nod at number 9 because he's just a little more likable, a little more friendly, and showed just a touch more willingness to put himself in harm's way for his friends, powers or no powers. He was the team's engineering knowledge, getting the Astro Megaship up and running and fixing things when they would break. That quality at least made him very valuable to the Galaxy Rangers. Number 8, Cam, Ninja Storm. Now we're getting somewhere. I've been giving love to the geeky nerds all throughout these videos, and this is no exception. But Cam has an arc that I actually really like even more than some of the rest of those characters. Cam has an arc very similar to Kendall in that he starts with the team, but not as a ranger, handling the technical aspects. He was definitely the alpha to Sensei Watanabe's Demetria, because he was definitely more of an Alpha 6 than an Alpha 5. He had a smarmy, sarcastic attitude, which mainly derived from wanting to be a ranger but not being chosen initially, and not really being fond of those who were chosen to be the rangers. His quest to retrieve the samurai amulet from the past not only granted him his ranger powers, but taught him about his parents and his uncle, the villain, Lothor. It really deepened his sense of family, which is what inspired him to save Mara and Capri at the end of the season when Lothor betrayed them. He does lose some points for creating Cybercam, but overall we can forgive it because it was his unspoken desire to be more hip. Number 7, Riley, Dino Charge Super. Unshakably calm and incredibly intelligent, the rather young Riley was an excellent Green Ranger. His being so smart allowed that team to have brains both on the battlefield as well as back at the base with Kendall. And it was really nice to see the smart one on the team have an athletic hobby, and Riley actually had several. We saw that he was into running and baseball, but mainly he was a fencer. Ha, ha, ha. Which is a skill that helped him directly in battle. He was the only one capable of learning, through some kind of spirit osmosis, Xenowing's special attack. He had a kind of a lack of self-confidence that made him kind of easy to shake now and then through specific circumstances, but overall he was a great Green Ranger indeed. Number 6, Xander, Mystic Force. Not to be confused with Xandred, which is something I realized just as I was writing this script. Xander is the kind of guy that you would probably like seeing on a TV show and would probably hate if you actually knew him in real life. Xander was incredibly cocksure. No, it's not a dirty word. Go look it up on the computer. Type it. And was confidence personified. So much so that his suggestion to most problems his team ran into was to try Plan Xander, which was basically just doing things his way. And it hardly ever actually worked. The thing is that overconfidence is actually a front he developed for dealing with issues after having moved to a new country. Xander was one of the first Rangers after the show moved filming to New Zealand who was allowed to keep his accent, with his backstory being that his family moved to the United States from New Zealand when he was a young kid. He was teased for his accent as well as for being nerdy, and as a result just ended up developing this overly confident and super friendly personality as a result. You know what? I actually take it back. I don't think you'd hate Xander if you knew him in real life. You'd probably just roll your eyes at him a lot. Number 5, Adam, Zeo. Just like Catherine, another case where he wore many suits, but was the only Zeo Green Ranger. The funny thing is, considering just that stretch of Adam's Ranger career actually moved him down this list a little bit, because his time as the Zeo Green Ranger really isn't all that memorable. He had more character growth during Turbo, coaching soccer and mentoring his eventual replacement, Carlos. That's work he did as a Green Ranger. I still like him better on Zeo, but his time as the Zeo Green Ranger was just kind of a quiet middle stretch for him. Number 4, Trip, Time Force. Having a Time Force Ranger at number 4 reflects two things. 1, the quality of the top 3 in this list, and 2, the fact that I consider Trip to have been a little underutilized. He was a great character, a fun-loving alien or mutant or something with green hair and a forehead gem like Dex from Masked Rider. He had an interesting form of ESP where he was able to see where people were and even glance into the future. Like Riley, Trip dealt with some lack of self-esteem and confidence issues, mainly stemming from being a younger Ranger than the others, having less experience, and also being the team's jokester and having a reputation for not being serious that got him not to be believed at some points. He grew in this as time went on, eventually standing up against the rest for a monster who only wanted to be sent back to jail and not be destroyed. He was a fun character and a great Ranger. Number 3, Bridge, SPD. The third spot on this list is super buttery. Bridge had a quirky wisdom to him. His thought process is not always making sense, but often coming to brilliant conclusions far faster than anyone else. He really was the brains on his team. He just had such a quirky and fun personality that you hardly ever thought of him that way. He loved buttered toast and would often stand on his head in order to help himself think. Bridge exuded a special kind of confidence that you often see from people who are more in touch with extrasensory type stuff. He just had this special kind of mind that better informed him how the world worked and what things were going on and the best way to solve his problems. And he also had the kind of mind that found it somewhat boring to have to slow down and explain that to other people. Not very well understood, but incredibly appreciated. And here we stand at the final 2. Once again, I bet you know who one of them is and where they sit. And the other is once again an RPM Ranger. That's weird. Number 2, Ziggy, RPM. Ziggy is one of the most unique Ranger stories ever. He took the trope of being specially chosen to be a Power Ranger. These Rangers had to pass strict physical testing in order to earn their morphers, and turned it absolutely on its head. Ziggy was a meek, cowardly little man who fell in with a criminal cartel and then turned on them to help some orphans and had a hit put out on him. He ended up becoming friends with Dylan and coming under his protection, and one of Dylan's conditions for joining the RPM Rangers was Ziggy's release to come along with him. This ended up getting Ziggy tasked with delivering the green morpher to a candidate who ended up being Tenaya 7. When Ziggy got wind of this and ran, Tenaya tried to take the morpher from him. Left with no other options, Ziggy activated the morpher, becoming the most unlikely of Power Rangers. But over time, Ziggy grew into his role as Ranger Operator Series Green. Barely able to handle his powers at first, he grew to relish his role as a Power Ranger and even developed his own unique fighting style. And he was another heart of the Team Ranger, always quick with a joke and an encouraging word. But alright, it's more than obvious who I picked as my #1 Green Ranger, so let's just drop all the subterfuge and get it out of the way. Obviously, I picked Mike from Samurai. Okay, I'm kidding, it's Tommy. Number 1. Tommy, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I know some of you might be upset about this choice, but honestly, who else could I have picked? Tommy burst onto the scene and instantly caught everyone's attention. His standard green costume modified by a bright gold shield. Rita's pawn, able to not only beat the entire team of Rangers single-handedly, but do it easily. He shut down Zordon, kicked the Rangers out of their own Zords. He was just a badass from the word go. When the Rangers were finally able to break the spell, Tommy joined their team and used his powers for good, and stayed just as badass. And even when he lost the powers, he was willing to come back and resume the role, risking his personal safety for a power infusion from Zordon that would allow him to become the Green Ranger yet again. Absorbing power from the force field that surrounded the power coins allowed him to stay the Green Ranger and end the fight a while longer, but when he finally did lose his powers, it was a major loss to the team at the time. He has a far longer history as a Ranger, obviously, but the green start to his time as a Power Ranger was absolutely amazing. Tommy Oliver is the #1 Green Ranger. But that's just me. Which Ranger makes your grass the greenest? Let's find out in the viewer's choice. So, this is perhaps the most anticipated Viewer's Choice Award ever done on this channel. The top 3 were all pretty obvious, just the order was in question. In fact, the top 2 are pretty obvious, so let's get the lesser fact out of the way. Finishing in 3rd place with 6 votes was Bridge from SPD. Oh boy, here we go. Everybody ready? Finishing in 2nd place with 19 votes was Tommy from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That's right, folks. While the early voting swung heavily to Tommy, there was a serious backswing. As I said in the comments, Tommy is a polarizing figure in the fandom. He was my #1 and many others too. But the majority swung to the lovably Goofy. Yes, that's right, with an amazing 25 votes, including most of the later votes, the winner of the Viewer's Choice Award for Best Green Ranger goes to Ziggy from RPM. Thanks for voting, everyone. The winner of the YouTube shoutout this week is Terader. The name's written on the screen, so however it's pronounced, congratulations. That is going to conclude the Orange Ranger video's month of colors, so if you'll excuse me a moment. Took you change. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it wasn't a traditional month with some delayed release dates here and there, but I did get a lot of requests to do top 10 color Ranger videos, so I hope you enjoyed them. I am going to try to cover as many of the colors as I'm able to. I may even do videos where I just rank the colors that are there, even if there aren't 10. And then I even had an idea of doing a video somewhere down the line where I rank each of the Ranger teams based on an average score where I placed each of their Rangers on the top 10. But that's a bridge we'll burn when we come to it. With the month of colors now complete, we are moving on to Summer in the Topics, a 4-week series of topical videos meant to balance out the 4 weeks of top 10 list I've been doing. So there aren't going to be any YouTube shoutouts for a while, but I do still need your help with something. My next video is called Busting the Tokuger Arguments, where I'm going to be making my arguments against those who say that Tokuger would not have made a good season of Power Rangers. So, if you don't think Tokuger would have made a good season of Power Rangers, or even if you do but think there would have been some challenges, let me know what they are in the comments below. Now don't worry, I'm not going to be calling anybody out by name. In most cases I'm going to be lumping the common arguments together and arguing against them all at once, so feel free to say whatever you'd like. That is going to conclude another Power Rangers Ninja Steel hiatus video. Thank you all as always so much for watching. Make sure to like the video by clicking that like button right down below, that thumbs up right there. In the comments below, let me know what you thought of my list here and of the month of colors as a whole. And let me know, if you have any, what your arguments against a Tokuger adaptation into Power Rangers would be. Subscribe to the channel to see all the Weekly Geekly. Also make sure you ring that bell so you get notified of whenever I post new videos. Month of Colors is gone. Now it's time for Summer in the Topics. May the power protect you. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and you guys know by lumping those two colors together. That's because he had a season-long crush on Mrs. Fairweather, which actually, dag nabbit, it's Ms. Fairweather. A downside to top 10 lists where I can just... It deepened his sense of family, which is what inspired him to save Mara and Capri at the end of the season. When Lothar betrayed them. His quest to retrieve the samurai amulet from the past, It really deepened his sense of family, which is what inspired him to save Mara and Capri at the end of the season when Lothar betrayed them. Dag friggin' nabbit. His quest to retrieve the His quest to retrieve the samurai amulet from the past. Once again, I don't have a 6 on my shirt because I'm wearing a different color. His quest to retrieve the samurai amulet from the past not only granted him his ranger powers, but taught him about his parents, as well as... The thing is, his overconfidence was actually kind of a front for issues that he dealt with when moving... The thing is, that overconfidence was actually a front to cover issues that he had from moving to the US. Having Trip at number 4 reflects two things. Who only wanted to go back to jail and not be destroyed. A fun character and a great ranger. Such a friggin' generic statement. Bridge really was the brains of the team. He just had such a quirky and fun personality that you hardly ever thought of him that way. Loved buttered toast and would stand on his head. The third pot... Ziggy. Okay, I'm kidding, it's Tommy. Let me do that again, because I was like, okay, I'm kidding, it's Tommy. Tommy just burst onto the scene and instantly caught everyone's attention. Rita's Pawn, a new ranger with a gold shield. Tommy just burst onto the scene and instantly caught everyone's attention. His absorbing power from the force field surrounding the power coins allowed him to stay the Green Ranger for a bit longer. That is going to conclude the Orange Ranger video's month of colors, so if you'll excuse me. My first video in the summer of topics is going to be With the month of colors completed, we now move on to Summer in the Topics, a 4-week series, if I can remember basic words.